When I interviewed you last time, I asked you a question that I've asked almost, I think, every Democrat that I've spoken to, or former Democrat, which was, when does the left go too far? And you answered that in that question. You said, when they align with Dick Cheney, they've gone too far.
Well, that's where they are now.
Yeah, well, so how do you explain? I'd like to know what happened.
By the way, I could go on with that list of departures from the Democrat.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious about
inversion. And, I studied American history in college. And, one of the ways that we study American history is according to these four big realignments that happen among the parties during different parts of our history. And we're going through one of those realignments today where the Democratic Party was the party of civil rights, has now become the party of censorship, the party of surveillance.
Yeah.
It was the party of that was fighting against the subversion of American democracy by big corporations, by Wall Street and corporate robber barons and titans. Today, the Democratic Party is the party of Wall Street, is the party of big pharma, big tech, a big ag, a big food, of the military-industrial complex. When I was a kid, the Democratic Party was the party of the poor. Mm-hmm. The Republican Party was the wealthy party. That's where most of the wealth in this country, 70 or 80%, was in the Republican Party. We were the party of the firefighters, the cops, the union leaders. And it was very interesting at the Republican convention, you had for the first time in history, Sean O'Brien, the president of the Teamsters Union, speaking to great applause. This was unheard of. I was on tour recently with J.D. Vance, mm-hmm. and we spoke at the firefighters convention in Boston, and he was touting about the importance of today's Republican Party for collective bargaining, which was a criminal act in the past to the Republicans. During the 2020 election, Jordan, roughly 50% of the people in this country voted for Trump, and roughly 50% voted for Biden. The 50% who voted for Trump own 30% of the wealth in this country. The 50% who voted for Biden own 70%. So the Republican Party is now the party of the poor, the party of the working class, the working poor, of unions, and the Democratic Party has become the party of billionaires. Donald Trump chased the billionaires out of the Republican Party, and they've all gone over to chase the neocons out of the Republican Party. And I would also argue the Republican Party is now the party of true environmentalists. The fixation that, and this is the space that I came out of, and I got into, environmental work. I'm working for commercial fishermen on the Hudson River, and then rivers all over the country, protecting habitat, protecting water, clean air, protecting our children against toxins. And it's endocrine disruptors. There's a chemical now, the second most used chemical in this country, a pesticide in this country, is atrazine. It's banned in Europe, banned all over the world, but we use it here. It's in 63% of our drinking water. There's a famous African-American scientist named Tyler Hayes, who's at the University of Berkeley. He did a famous experiment that anybody can look up on the internet. And he put 70 African water frogs in an aquarium. He put atrazine in the water of that aquarium that was less than EPA's level. So it's less than the levels we have in 63% of our water supply. 60 of those frogs became sterile. They're all male frogs. 60 became sterile. 10% of those frogs turned female, and they were able to produce fertile eggs. So it changed their sex. And of course, normally, when you see something like that in an animal model, the first thing you want to do is test it in a mammalian model and then a human model. Those tests were never done. So we don't know what impact it's having on our children, if any. But I think those studies ought to be done.
For those of us watching the major issues facing our country, one stands out above the rest: our national debt. The fact is, our nation's finances rest on a precarious foundation that can't be quickly stabilized. With so much beyond our control, and yes, even beyond our leaders' control, having a safe haven for your savings isn't just smart, it's essential. That's where Birch Gold Group comes in. They'll help you convert your IRA or 401k into a physical gold IRA. And here's the best part. It doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. In these uncertain times, protecting your savings with a tangible asset like gold could make all the difference. As the exclusive gold partner of the Daily Wire for the past 8 years, Birch Gold Group has earned their reputation for trustworthy service. Text Jordan to 989898 to get your free info kit. Plus, right now through Black Friday, you'll receive a free 1-ounce Silver Eagle for every $5,000 purchased. As the exclusive gold partner of the Daily Wire for the past 8 years, you can trust Birch Gold, as I do, to help you protect your savings. Text Jordan to 989898 today.
I've been trying for 40 years to get Republicans in Fox News and elsewhere to pay attention to this threat of endocrine disruptors. And they ridiculed me, derided me, and just ignored me. Tucker Carlson did an extraordinary documentary a year and a half ago on endocrine disruptors and basically said all the things I just said. And he was absolutely attacked by the left and by the mainstream environmental community. So the other big issue with the mainstream environmental is this fixation on carbon alone, and all the things that brought us into the environment. People become environmentalists, not because they're scared of a line on a graph, and you're going to be dead after at this point in history if you don't behave. We got involved because of love of the habitat, because of love of the environment, because of love of our Purple Mountains majesties, our rivers and streams and understanding. We're not protecting nature for the sake of the fishes and the birds. We're protecting it our own sake because nature enriches us. And this has been forgotten by the environmental movement, and they've simply become fixated on carbon alone, and that is the only issue. And, I'm watching the outcome of that now on the coast of the Atlantic coast of North America. If 21 offshore wind farms being built, it's privatized 5,000 square miles of land between the Gulf of Maine and North Carolina. And they're pounding into the sediment 2,200 of turbines. The turbines are unspeakably large. Just the blades on those turbines are 1,000 feet long. They're bigger than the Eiffel Tower. They're all made in China. And when they explode, which one did off in Nantucket a month ago, they put shards into the water so you can't swim without getting cut. You can't go to the beaches in Nantucket because of the shards on them. But they're killing the whale. The nymphs of National Marine Fisheries have warned that the turbines are going to cause the collapse of the cod fishery because they're in the spawning grounds. No, the environmental movement doesn't care. They built these, and they are destroying the whale populations, and everybody knows it. In 2 years, we've had, on average, there was about 4 groundings a year. We've had 109 whale deaths, unexplained. Over the past 2 years alone, since 2016, we've been averaging 16 to 20 a year. And these are right whales. Right whales, there's only 368 left in the world, only 70 fertile females. Minke whales, humpback whales, and other large whale species. And they're being exterminated. And everybody's pretending it's not the wind farms, but there's no other explanation. There's been no other changes. And the federal environmental agencies that regulate this also regulate oil production in the Gulf of Mexico. The rule is that if there's a single whale death within 50 miles of an operation, everything comes to a halt till it's explained. They've waived that rule, and they've refused to investigate the deaths. They refuse to do proper necropsies of the dead whales to keep us in the dark about what's actually causing this, but everybody knows what's causing it.